To find out how cool roofing technologies work, joining us is Lisa Gartland, who's the Executive Director of the Sacramento Cool Community Program. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Steve.
So how do cool roofs make for cooler communities? How do they work?
Well, you don't realize this, but traditional hot roofs are about 150 to 190 degrees in the summer sun. But cool roofs are about 100 degrees to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're saving about 50 degrees by using a cool roof. What happens is that cooler temperature on the top of the roof means a lot less heat is transferred through whatever insulation you may have down into your building.
Yeah, because like most commercial buildings have these big, huge black roofs that basically just re-radiate that heat into the space that we're working in.
Right.
Now, it seems like this technology is just basically white roofing materials.
Yeah, they are. Almost all the materials available today are bright white, either coatings or single plies. And the reason for that is there's two parts of solar energy. There's the visible part of the energy, and then there's the infrared invisible part. 40% of the energy from the sun is visible. So if we have bright white coatings, then we can reflect that 40% away very well. But what we don't see is that 57%, which is invisible, infrared energy coming from the sun. So we need to also reflect well in that spectrum.
It sounds like what you're telling me, that coatings of the future may not have to be white. What can we expect to see?
We have a few products on the market now, and we're hoping to get a lot more that are all different colors, especially for the residential market.
Yeah, and residential is probably just about as much as commercial buildings, so we care about that as well. Well, since we're here to take a look at commercial buildings, I have a spot radiometer, which can measure the surface temperatures. I'd like to go up on this roof and just see how hot they are.
Oh, great.
Well, Lisa, this looks like a typical Southern California roof, but I got to tell you, it is hot up here. It's only about 90 degrees outside, but it feels like it's about 150.
Well, that's because it is 150. You've got a heat gun there. What does it say?
Well, if I look at the black part of the roof, it measures out about 173 degrees, and if I come over here to this gray color, or what once was white, it's about 144, so quite a difference just in the color.
Right. You know what else is interesting about this roof is we have so many different types of materials on it. We've got this black stuff you just measured, the hottest stuff. This is an asphalt emulsion, and you know, typically this is 170 to 190 degrees in the sun.
And it feels it.
Yeah. Now this other white stuff, this is probably an elastomeric coating that was put on maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago. And it's showing some failure modes here. What happened is it's starting to peel away from that asphalt emulsion. You have to be really careful when you get your coatings put on your roofs that your surface is prepared correctly, because you don't want to see this happen to your roof.
Now we're about 20 degrees difference in temperature. Is that pretty typical?
Actually, for a coating, this coating is very dark and dirty, but for a cool coating, it would probably be about 110, 120 degrees. So you would see about a 50-degree temperature reduction.
So this is going to, normally if you put on a cool roof technology, whether it be a membrane applied or whether it be a roll-on type coating, you're looking at about a 50-degree temperature difference. That's pretty substantial.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Now, when we go to a colored roofing product, like some of these darker colors might actually perform about as well, even though they're darker.
That's true. That's because some of these darker materials now reflect really well in the infrared spectrum, or the invisible portion of the sun's energy.
So that means that when we're shopping, we just want to look at the numbers, not so much the color, because the color might be deceiving.
The color might be, yeah.
We know that the lighter colors are going to do pretty well, but just because it's dark doesn't mean that it might not perform.
Right.
Okay. Now, these coatings can save about how much on your air conditioning costs?
Well, we expect in California on average to save about 20% on your air conditioning. Now, some buildings will save more and some will save less, and it really depends on your building configuration, how many stories it has, how much insulation is in the roof, what some of your internal electrical loads are.
Now, you're probably out looking at a lot of roofs since you're an administrator for one of these types of programs. What kind of problems do you see, and what would you recommend when people put down these different products to make sure they're going to get the performance, energy performance they're looking for, and the long-term performance?
Well, I guess what I recommend is that people get at least 3 bids when they're putting a cool roof on. What you want to do is get bids on a variety of different product types. You want to get a bid for a coating, a bid for a single ply, maybe, you know, all different types of those products too. Because sometimes if someone just specializes in coatings, you'll get a bid for a coating, and that might not be the best, most cost-effective thing to put on your roof. Really depends how old your roof is and what kind of shape your roof is in.
Thanks, Lisa. That's good information.